Thanks for buying from Bell Ink Books, a super small one-woman team business. I'm going to show you how to copy and access your habit tracker that you purchased. And then I'm also going to do kind of an overview of what the features are and how to use it. Please keep in mind that this is a Google Sheets only template, so it will not work in Excel. And that's because, well, I'm not going to go into that, but it's this one is just for Google Sheets, okay? So there's written instructions here, but I'm recording and you're obviously watching the video instructions. And if you ever like, gee, I really need to watch that video again, you'll find it here, but you'll also find it on the instruction page of your file. So you're going to click on the link that says Google Sheets file link in the PDF that you received after purchasing the habit tracker on Etsy. So click the link. I've already got it open. This is probably the first page that you'll see, the instruction page. So step one, how to copy the file. Come up here to File, Make a Copy. Please rename it something else like, I don't know, Breeze Habit Tracker or 2026 Habit Tracker, something that you'll remember. And the reason is you might get confused because after you copy the file, in your recent files, you might still see the view only file that you copied. And then you'll get confused because you'll be clicking on it and trying to do stuff, or you won't see your data. And it's because that's the view only file. So make sure that you name it something unique and also that you know where you saved it so that it's easy for you to access and you don't get confused. And please also note that no, I cannot see your copy. There's no way I could see your copy unless you shared it with me, and please don't. But that is the only way I would have access to your copy is if you manually, physically went and shared it with me. So it's not going to happen. And nobody else that buys the habit tracker will be able to see your file either unless you share it with them. That said, please remember I'm a small business and I'm not charging a lot for these templates. And I also create YouTube videos of how to make these templates. So please don't share the one that you bought. Please don't share the link to my file and don't share a copy of yours with anyone else. I'm pretty sure anyone that you're going to share it with can spare the $2 to $5 to go buy it from my Etsy shop if they don't want to make it themselves by finding the tutorial on my YouTube channel and watching it and making it themselves. So please don't share this file. Super appreciate you. And it is stealing if you do. And please remember, I put a lot of time and effort to make not only the file, but also the video instructions and the tutorials on how to make similar things for free on your own by spending your time instead of money. So you'll click Make a Copy, and just for anyone in the back that missed it or it's too fast, File in the top left, Make a Copy. It's the fourth tab down on the menu. Rename it, and then make a copy. And make sure you know what folder you saved it to, okay? So now let's take a look at the tracker. So the first tab is the instructions, and then you have a tab for every month of 2026 and also November and December of 2025. If there's a tab you don't need, like maybe you buy this in February of 2026, you can click on that tab, right click, and then delete. You are also welcome to reuse this for 2027, but note that you don't have to worry about dates for 2026. Everything is completely filled out. Hopefully you can't hear the dog barking in the background. I am in Spain, and Spain is loud, so I'll try to edit that out. But anyway, habit tracker. So this habit tracker is strawberry cake themed. Many habit trackers that you'll find on YouTube tutorials and available on Etsy are going to have you growing a tree or a flower or some kind of plant. But I wanted to make one where your reward was cake because I like cake. So that is the theme of this tracker. And as you complete tasks throughout the day, you will go from an empty plate to a strawberry to a slice of cake to a full cake. Here at the bottom, you'll see the percentage of tasks you completed by the day. And then over here on the right, you can see how many times you completed each task for the month, the percentage. And then there's just an image of a cake because, again, I like cake. Okay, so let's get into it. The instructions. How do you add your tasks? Let's come to November. I started filling November out, but let's add a few more. So I added insert habit here in each of these rows. Let's change one just so you can see how to do it in case anyone's confused. I think probably not, but we're in column A, and you're going to click on the cell where you want to add the task. You can double click, and then you can just hit delete. You can highlight it and then delete it all at once. Or you could come up here to the formula bar and again just delete or highlight it and delete all at once. And then let's add another task, wash hair. You do not want to leave any of these empty, and here's why. It messes up the formula. So notice now at the bottom, when everything's completed, we have 100%. But if you leave these empty, all of a sudden, you're getting these weird percentages. So if you want to leave empty rows, or if you don't need, let me rephrase that, if you don't need all of the rows that I've included, you have two options. Number one is to click in the formula bar and update it here. So you would change this from B21 to B11 because that's the last row that you have filled out, and then the same for the A. And then you'd have to copy this formula across all of the columns that are using it. That's one way to do it if you like the aesthetic of having all of these extra rows. If you're fine with deleting the rows, and I think that's the easiest option, is just copying the rows, or not copying, highlighting the rows that you're not using, and then right-clicking and deleting. And then notice the formula auto updates. So that's the easiest option, is to just delete the rows that you're not using. Let's say that you forgot to include something. I recommend coming to the bottom row and hitting insert row above. And the reason you want to do above and not below is that if you're at the last row, or anything really that gets inserted in the middle, you don't have to worry about updating the formula. It automatically updated. And if you were wondering why does the formula look right, it's not right. So this is a great way to check that the formula is right, is making sure it adds up to 100%. So let's do yoga. Okay. Now, let's say that you added this task in the middle of the month. That is another time where you might want to, let's say you added the habit of yoga on Monday the 10th. That's when you could also come up here and just update the formula. So maybe for these rows, we only go to B11 and A11. But make sure that the new habit is last. If you're gonna add, did we have meditate twice? That's fine. So if yoga is the new habit and we are adding it in the middle of the month or some point after the first, make sure it's last, and then you can here we'll copy that and we will paste formula only, and then this one is fine because notice it goes K6 to K12 and this goes J6 to J11. So hopefully that was clear. That was kind of an in the moment epiphany, and then just double check that both add up to 100. Oh, I'm confused. I was on the wrong row. I was like, why is that still adding up to 100? So this is how we would check it. So we have J11, A11, and then K12, A12. So that's how you could update the formula if you're adding a habit at the beginning of the month. And I will try to remember to add that to the instructions. Moving on. So we talked about deleting rows, we talked about adding rows, deleting columns. So if you started this, if you bought this on November 8th and you don't want to see the empty week 1, you can just highlight week 1 and right click and delete. But notice now we have all these errors. So we're gonna click into column B and we're gonna change that hashtag reference exclamation point to A3, and then the same thing down here, A3. And important note, there's a third step because obviously this is supposed to say the 8th, right? So we need to change A3's date to the 8th. Or actually we wanted it to start on, I don't remember if it was supposed to start the 7th or the 8th, but you would want to change this to whatever the day before is because we have a +1, or you could change it to the actual date and then delete the +1. It's your choice. Just make sure these are the same because otherwise your days are not going to match your day of the week. And you can always double check that that is correct by double clicking on your date picker and making sure that it is the correct day of the week with the correct date. And as always, we should double check our formula. So let's make sure that the month tracker is still leading up to 100, and boom, it is. So that's how you delete columns if you purchase this like at the beginning of the month, or maybe you're only using it for 1 week out of the month or something. That's how you would delete columns and update the formula here. I think that was, yeah, that's the last instructions. Hopefully you find this easy to use. If you wanted to customize the images, there is an image tab. Make sure you don't delete it because then you won't have images, but you could insert new images here if you wanted to change it. If you want to change your color theme, you can change the fill color. You can change border colors by clicking on the border icon and changing the border color. You can change border thickness. You can customize this as much as you want, as long as you use it for personal use and not commercial.